Davenport Publications presents James and Jim.
James Morrison had it all. A beautiful wife. A perfect family. He was ready for partnership with a prestigious management consultant firm in the big city. He had everything a man could want. Until...
One night, on an ordinary train ride home, James witnesses a murder. Or does he? And is his new client the murderer? Sometimes murder is just part of the job. Witty. Wicked. A diabolical new thriller by Douglas Moser. James and Jim. On sale now.
Hi, sexy people. I'm Dr. Tammy. Welcome to The Trouble with Sex. Today, you're in for a real treat. I'm so excited to talk with Rick Miller, a relationship therapist, a podcaster, an author. We have so much good stuff to dive into today. From what masculinity means for men, to how men communicate, why open relationships are an old school concept. We did not invent it. I didn't invent it, that's for sure. And is it the norm in the gay world? Did gay men invent it? Like, we're going to dig deep with Rick Miller. Rick Miller is a practicing psychotherapist and founder and executive director of Gay Sons and Mothers. Rick co-hosts the podcast Modern Couples, What Your Therapist Never Told You. His TEDx talk, The Mother Factor, grew out of his work with his nonprofit, which shares worldwide narratives of gay men and their mothers to support LGBTQ plus training and awareness. Rick is also the executive producer of the documentary film, Mom, I Have Something to Tell You, which, perfect title. He's a frequent speaker at conferences and professional organizations, and he's the author of 3 books. He writes a regular column for Psychology Today. I have with me his latest book, Opening Up, a communication workbook for male couples. So, Rick, welcome. I'm so happy to have you.
Thank you. It's so good to be here and good to see you again.
It's nice to see you too. I was trying to figure out like how long I've known you, and I've just watched you open up, like express such a mission in the world. It's just really lovely to see you do the work that you're meant to do in the world today.
That I appreciated. We know each other in the conference world, and I feel as though I know you well, and I've actually never met you in person. Isn't that weird?
Is it true?
Yes, it's true. I met you during the pandemic, and we've been doing online conferences together. So if I saw you, obviously I'd recognize you, but we've never been face to face.
Oh, well, one of these days I'll have to give you a hug.
Let's make it happen. Absolutely.
Make it happen. Yeah. Well, I'm excited to have you on the show. I love the work that you're doing with male couples, and I really want to talk to you about this because I think the whole idea of masculinity today is an important topic.
Yes. Yeah.
I think I can say that my husband just got back from the Mankind Project. So there's there's a lot of like masculine, manly stuff going on out there for men to explore. Like, what does it really mean to be a man? What does it mean to be in your masculinity for gay, straight, trans men? Like, there's I think a new conversation happening, which I feel like we have to have in this really polarized, toxic world that we're going through right now.
We do, and many men don't want to do that work or have those conversations. So great to hear about your husband. And yes, I agree with you. The world is changing, and younger men are more interested and more pliable in terms of what they're willing to express, explore, and be in the world. And that's great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So tell me about your work and anything you want us to know that I didn't include in my introduction.
Okay.
I know there's a lot of stuff that you're doing.
So I think I'm going to start at the beginning and hopefully not go too slowly, but I got my master's right after college in Boston in 1985. And I was newly out, totally intimidated by the field of psychotherapy, and living in a city that was really snobby, really medically oriented, wasn't necessarily friendly to gay men or social workers, both of which I was. So I had a dual personality in my life. As the newly out man, I was going to the gay gym, I was meeting my friends, going to the bars. And as a new social worker who felt like I had no skills and no business being a therapist, I was buttoned up and zipped up in my professional world. And what I learned about being a therapist is that I had what it takes to be a good therapist and a people person, but I had no self-esteem about being at conferences and speaking to my superiors. And so I started a private practice because I could do my work and be myself behind closed doors. So that's how it all began. And what happened over the years is that I helped so many gay men, and you could say it's my great clinical skills, but what it really was and still is, it's my personality. That in the office, I'm the same person that I am speaking with you right now, and the same person that I am with my friends. And many gay men have grown up feeling ashamed, knowing that it's not okay to be who they are in the world, and have gone to great lengths to hide themselves. And that has been the basis of my work, whether it's officially or unofficially. So I've had so many clients over the years who have been traumatized, uptight, ashamed of themselves. And then even after they've come out, they're still living a life of being a little too careful. So that's informed a lot of my work. And what I learned also early on is that because I'm active in the treatment room, that I'm pretty decent in couples therapy, group therapy, and family therapy, because I love getting in there with the dynamics between people and figuring out what's really going on. So that's kind of how I've gotten to where I am these days.
I love how enthusiastic you are, and that you really appreciate that it's the space between you and your clients that's really the relational piece, like the relationology, the space that's healing is in the relationship, whether it's in therapy or out in the world. That's really what's healing us, right? And it's really what's wounding us in the world is our relationships. And wow, what a crazy time to be in relationship and to really try to figure out like who am I in a relationship? Gay, straight, man, female? Like it's so confusing.
Yeah, there's a lot.
There's a lot.
We spend a lot of time talking about it these days.
And, you know, what a roller coaster.
Yeah.
You know, to be gay, to be a man, to be married, to be single, to live together, to feel like, okay, we can finally be married. Oh, maybe not. Oh, do we have to move out of the country? Yeah.
Right. I know a bunch of people who are buying homes elsewhere, and they're literally considering leaving forever at this point. I know a bunch of couples who are getting married right now. They've been together for years. They never felt as though they wanted to or needed to, and whether they're doing it to prove a point or to protect themselves, they're doing it, which is great. By the way, I can also speak about gay marriage too. I think that's an interesting topic. And people are scared and angry. It's just frightening to think about where we've come in the last 20 years and where we are going, particularly the LGBTQ community.
Yeah, where we've come in 20 years around gay marriage, and then just in the past, like 6 months.
Yes.
What the hell?
Right. It's going quickly.
It's like, it feels like it's been years, but it's been like 6 months.
And people keep saying it's going to be okay. We're going to get through it. There'll be a new administration. And like you're saying, it's only been a matter of months.
Yeah, it's only been a matter of months. Yeah. And I, like you, know gay couples that have moved out of the country. They've moved to Mexico. They're moving to Canada, Portugal.
Yeah.
And, you know, I can't say that I haven't been tempted. Like, if I didn't have all these kids and grandchildren all over the place, like you know, we've talked about it. I've thought about it. You know, my concern is, the whole world is a little crazy. It's
Right.
not just the U.S.
Right.
And the whole world is tilting in a weird direction. And there's also climate weirdness
Right.
everywhere and immigration stuff. And it's just a little tense. And so can you say something about that? Like, how are you feeling about that?
Well, I've stopped reading the newspaper or watching the news, which is incredibly embarrassing because I feel
normal.
like I ought to be informed. And I used to be a news junkie where I was listening to podcasts and reading and hearing and blah, blah, blah. And as soon as the current administration took over, I was getting so angry that I couldn't do it. So as a result, I have no attention span with reading anymore because I only look at Instagram and Facebook, and there's not a lot of words there. And I do comb through, the headlines to see what's going on. But what a role model am I if I can't deal with what's going on out there? And a lot of my therapist friends and I talk about, what do we do in our sessions? Do we talk about it? Do we not talk about it? Do we speak honestly with our clients? Are we really being therapeutic? Who is it for? But fortunately for me, hopefully for you, a lot of the people that I speak with share the same values as I do. So I don't have to really pretend anything.
How do you help your gay male clients or your gay male couples with their anxieties about the world?
That's a great question. I mean, can we be helpful in the midst of this? I suppose the way that I'm being helpful is just by agreeing with them and validating what they're experiencing and letting them know that I'm no different than they are in my own belief or position. We're all scared. We're all angry. And when you think about growing up gay, particularly people our generation, and it wasn't dealt with and it wasn't talked about and it wasn't publicized. So being silent and ashamed was such a big part of reality. And here we are at a phase in life where we get to be free and enjoy the work that we've done. And now it feels like it's going to be taken away, or at least it could be taken away at any moment in some bizarre way, shape, or form. So I think it really brings people to earlier traumas, and people with trauma histories that I'm seeing, not just gay men, are freaking out because it's tapping into this old pain that's been part of who they were, and it feels like it's happening all over again.
Yeah, I mean, you bring up a good point. There's this perpetual feeling of the risk of loss of freedom.
Yes.
And, I'm in LA, so we have the whole ICE immigration crisis going on here. And it's going on everywhere, but it's like in our face here.
Right,
and,
right.
It's like generational trauma of the risk of loss of freedom, right? Because we all have fought for freedom for generations.
Right.
And this generational trauma of what does it mean to be free, and that we're all carrying in our DNA and in our ancestry. And and now, still there's this threat hanging over us. Like, what does it mean to be free, and could we lose it? And
we have a lot more ahead. I mean, like you said, we're 6-8 months into it only.
Yeah. So talk to me about, you said you want to say more about gay marriage. And I mean, that feels like freedom. And at the same time, tell me more about how you're feeling about it.
So what's interesting about gay marriage is that I live in the state of Massachusetts, and Massachusetts was the first state where gay marriage was legalized, I want to say 2004. And back then, to be legally married in the state of Massachusetts meant you're legally married in Massachusetts, but you don't get any federal benefits or recognition anywhere else. So all these gay and lesbian, trans people that were living in the world never needed to think about getting married, or if they wanted to, they couldn't, or if they didn't want to, they didn't have to. And then suddenly the choice was available for them. And it was a really interesting time to be with couples who were adamant about doing it or not doing it. And the day that gay marriage became legal my clients in my gay male psychotherapy group who idealized me said, I bet you and your partner are getting married and having a wonderful day. And what I didn't tell them was that I wasn't talking to my partner that day. We had been together 10, 12 years, and everything about our relationship that we hadn't quite faced came to the surface with the option of marriage. So we did get married. We fought like cats and dogs in the woods every weekend, dealing with all the stuff that we didn't deal with. And not that I wrote my workbook for male couples or I do my work based on that, but it was a great exercise in recognition that males are great at avoiding things. And if you happen to marry a woman who doesn't avoid things, you're going to have to deal with things. If you happen to be with a man or marry a man who avoids things, it's really easy not to deal with things. And I would say that a big part of my male couples practice includes being with male couples who have spent years avoiding things with each other. And sometimes the work that I do with them is very basic about getting them to speak. Hence the title, Opening Up. And it's not that complex to speak with each other, but it certainly is scary. It certainly is vulnerable, and it certainly goes against the way that many men have been raised. So I started out with marriage, and I kind of brought it to the work that I'm doing.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a great pivot to talk about, anything in your relationship when there's a stress point,
Yes.
whether it's committing in a happy way or breaking up in an unhappy way or monogamy, fidelity,
Yeah.
like all those stress
Yes.
points,
Yeah.
However you view them, are places that need a lot of communication.
Yeah.
And if you're
Yeah.
conflict avoidant, which many of us have been taught to be, it makes total sense that,
Yeah.
people need help to do that, because why fight?
An interesting thing happened during the pandemic with a lot of the couples that I had worked with, which is so many successful gay white men have corporate careers. They were traveling all over. They were barely at home. They couldn't make it into my therapy office because they were too busy. And then suddenly the pandemic happened, and these couples were with each other 24/7. And many of the couples that had been in my office struggling got along great because they had the basis of a good relationship, but they just didn't know it because they hadn't spent a lot of time being with each other, enjoying what they have. And simultaneously, around that time and a little bit before, a lot of male couples found their way to my office to talk about sex. And who knew that talking about sex would be opening the door to dealing with other aspects of their relationship? But there's a
did.
lot of male couples, right? You would know. A lot of male couples come in exclusively to talk about sex, and then they stay for a long time, and we get into a whole bunch of other things. Then there's other couples that only talk about sex, and that's fine too. But kind of interesting.
It is interesting. And let's talk about the gay men and sex, one of my favorite topics. There's so many sort of stereotypes and memes about gay men and sex, and how gay men can have open relationships, where they're emotionally monogamous but sexually open, and that gay men sort of invented open relationships, but the pressure around that is that, oh, well, we're gay men, so of course we should be open.
That's
but
right.
I know a lot of gay men that are like, I don't want to be open.
Right.
Do I have to be open just because I'm gay?
Not at all. Right.
Yes. Do you want to say something?
Here's
about
one
that?
thing that I'm noticing, and I'm curious if you are too, that as LGBTQ people are more accepted in our society, including gay men, that the notion of having an open relationship doesn't feel as critical, because now people can live in the suburbs comfortably like they didn't before, and they're friends with their neighbors, and they can have children and be involved in the community and in the school system and do all the things that I had when I was growing up. And it doesn't feel like I have to live the life that every other gay man is living. So I'm seeing that with younger people. And of course, I don't know the time frame of when relationships open up. Some couples are open from the very beginning. Other couples are monogamous for years and struggle with it, but they maintain it. And other couples just aren't honest with each other and don't tell their partners what they're doing outside. And in some instances, that's fine. In other instances, that's what brings them into our offices. I think I've said this when we've taught at other conferences, looking at the history of gay men in previous generations, in the 20s, the 30s, the 40s, it was illegal to be gay, and cops and private cops were looking to catch men who were having sex, beating them, arresting them. It was not okay to be open and out. And certainly in the 50s and 60s, many men who knew that they were gay or different from heterosexual felt as though they had no choice. So the way that they got to meet men was going out and cruising publicly, maybe on a Sunday afternoon or something like that. So a lot of the ways that historically men got together was through being sexual, and the fact that many men are more comfortable owning their sexuality than others, it became the norm. And let's face it, a lot of people talk the talk, but they don't walk the walk. And I've been to many dinner parties, I've been leading my therapy groups where the jokes about sex and being open about sex as opposed to open, or being hip and comfortable with sex is a matter of a lot of conversation, and it's simply not true. I mean, I talk about discomfort more than I talk about comfort in my office, and I'm sure you do too.
Yeah, I like the historical perspective of how we sort of got here. And, I never really thought about the idea of sort of the feeling of, if you don't feel like you have to be an outsider, you can more comfortably identify as traditionally monogamous because you can live in the suburbs. Like, I hadn't really thought about that, if it was sort of binary, if monogamy is binary, that you're either traditional or you're open, then those are your only two choices.
Right.
Then it makes sense if you didn't fit into the traditional role of heterosexual, nuclear family, suburbs, blah, blah, blah. But now that there's more choice, and there's, more of a continuum around what that looks like, it makes sense that you don't have to make that choice to be on the far end of the continuum.
And what does open even mean? I tell my clients, imagine a sliding door. And if you're in a couple where you are monogamous with your partner and you don't ever talk about pornography and you never share with each other who you're attracted to or who you have a crush on, the door is sealed shut. And if you begin talking about who you think is hot out there and what kinds of porn you like, then you're sliding the door open a little bit. So for some people, that's the beginning of an open relationship. And I tell people there's no right way or wrong way. And I think based on how many gay couples do have open relationships, the feeling or the thought is that everyone does it and everyone has it down comfortably and it causes no issues and no problems, which of course is not true. The other thing that I find happens a lot, and I kind of chuckle at this, is couples that are having a struggle that have nothing to do with sex come to me and they say, well, maybe we should open our relationship. And I'm thinking, what does that have to do with this? And how is that going to help you? Because opening up a relationship, as you know, as we know, is not easy work. It's really, really challenging. And really the most of secure couples can handle it okay. Otherwise, there can be gloom and doom if it's not done properly.
Yeah, it can be hard if you're not communicating.
Yeah.
And so let's not communicate. Let's not work on our communication, and maybe we should open our relationship. It's kind of like, maybe we should have a baby. Maybe
and let me add one more detail to it. So we won't talk about it. We won't communicate. It will open our relationship, and we're going to snoop on each other on our location devices and the alarm system and everything else, and even put whatever they're called, the AirTag things, hide it in your partner's car so you know exactly where he is, but never talk about it.
Rick, that seems like you know a little bit too much about that.
Well, I've been hearing about it for a while, and it never surprises me at this point anymore.
Oh, the AirTag thing is new.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's certainly interesting how people do think, well, things aren't going well, we could just open our relationship. And there is a whole episode we could do about that.
Yeah.
And I'm just curious, from your perspective, people do come to therapy to close the relationship. Like an
Yes.
open relationship doesn't mean you're not ever going to cheat on each other or break the agreement or that you can't feel betrayed or it's not to say that it can't work for some
Right.
people that they've gone through many things in their lives and developmentally they're at the place where they're like, you know what, let's try it. It doesn't mean it has to be permanent. It doesn't mean
Right.
it can't develop. It should be a flexible and fluid conversation.
And I totally agree with you. And I think that gay men don't even know that that is how it can be. It's either all in or none for many gay men.
Why do you think that is?
Because so many gay men are taught how they are supposed to be sexual through the media that they're kind of stunted about knowing themselves truly and fully and mindfully. And again, that's where my work comes in. I guess it's like being a woman dealing with the media and the expectation of how you're supposed to be, how you're supposed to think, how you're supposed to talk, what you're supposed to look like. And people really do internalize it.
Yeah.
I lead a lot of gay male therapy groups, and 2 of them have been in existence with different people in the groups, one for 35 years and one for over 20 years. And so there's something about interpersonal connection, community, communication that gay men need, want, and don't run away from once they have it.
That's so nice.
I love it.
Nice.
And it's just such an honor, privilege, and watching the fact that people literally stay for years. And I'm not forcing them to. It's quite a phenomena.
It is, and it reminds me of the idea of chosen family.
Yeah, yeah.
Really choosing your people that really
Yeah.
can see you and believe in
Yeah.
you and have patience
Yes.
with you. And
Yeah.
yeah.
And that's part of it. And chosen family is such a comfortable concept for people. I use that term all the time, and it's not just other gay men, it's other mothers. It's other family members that are more accepting of you than your own mother or father may be. It's your neighbors. It's kind of recreating community and being nourished and fed in the most beautiful of ways. And going back to my professional development, so I spent years in my private office with my sense of humor and my clinical skills. My practice was doing great. But no one really knew what I was doing behind closed doors except me and my clients. When I wrote my first book about doing hypnosis with gay men, it's a book that's for therapists. I started teaching in the field of psychotherapy 10, 12 years ago, and suddenly I was out in the professional world and I couldn't hide. And it was this weird dichotomy to suddenly be the expert that could teach other clinicians and other people about things. And I had to work hard to believe in myself and to trust that I had something to say and that I was smart and that I was relevant and blah, blah, blah. So years of internalizing what I wasn't good at within myself has stuck inside of me. And literally at the age of 60, 4 years ago, I finally said to myself, you're done with that shit. Just go out there and don't worry what people think and just do your work. And I'm so relieved that I got there. But 60 years of living like that, it's a lot.
Do you talk about your own relationship?
Yeah, yeah.
Do people ask, are you open?
Yeah, people ask a lot of things. The other thing about, I just sold my house on Cape Cod. I started in Provincetown. I met my husband next door in the early 90s, and I happened to be moving in shirtless in zebra spandex. And he thought I would be a fun couple hours. And now it's 33 years later. So, and the rest is history. As my practice grew in Provincetown, I said to Oren, my husband, I have to leave town. I need privacy. It got to the point where I would be walking my dogs at 7 in the morning, and I'd be like doing my hair and getting dressed and worried about running into people and blah, blah, blah. So I figured we'll move to Truro, the next town over in the country, and I'll have a lot more privacy. Yeah, right, as if. But I had a home office for 25 years there, and everyone knew me, everyone knew us, and there was no point in not talking about myself because they were going to find out anyways. Going to the gym in town, I mean, getting changed, taking off my underwear in front of my clients. It's not the most enjoyable activity in the world. But, you know, you do what you got to do. I remember one time yelling at my husband, I said, "You took off your underwear at the gym?"
Well, it's not like you were just walking around with no clothes on.
No, one of my clients was doing that with me at the gym one day, but I certainly wasn't. And some of the people that I work with in Boston, my colleagues, are aghast by what they call my lack of boundaries, and it's just the way it is in a small town.
It's
Can't help
community.
it.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
community. It's like therapists that are in the BDSM community or the
Yes.
polyamory community. If you live in a small enough place,
That's just how
your
it is.
worlds are going to cross over. They're going to collide.
Totally.
Yeah, that's hard. I mean, it's hard, and I feel like we're living in a time of therapist transparency.
Finally, it's so refreshing. I don't know who I was talking to the other day, but Lori Gottlieb wrote this book about 8 years ago, and I think it really helped people understand what therapy is and what therapists are about. And now the miniseries Couples Treatment or Couples Therapy, there's just ways of learning about therapists, and we get to be real. And certainly in the field of sex therapy, therapists have been a lot more real, because how can you not be?
Yeah, and I think it's healthier, like, you know, that we're real people.
Absolutely.
Like that I bring the therapist as myself into the session.
Yes.
It used to be, I remember 30 years ago, like if somebody asked me if I had kids or if I was married, like,
or where you were going on vacation.
God forbid.
Right.
Oh, you look tan. Like, oh, what is that bringing up for you? I was supposed to ask.
Yes. Yeah.
And I feel like we've come a long way. And I feel like part of that is actually, for me, my psychedelic therapy training, like learning that your inner wisdom is really what we're here for. And I'm your guide. I'm not like those privileged therapists sitting up here with all the answers and don't ask me anything because you shouldn't even like know I'm in the room. I should be on the couch. You should be projecting all your stuff onto me. No, I'm actually, like you said in the beginning, like this is a relationship.
Yeah.
And it's in the relational space. And regardless of all the letters I have to have after my name or the books I've written, it's either going to work because we are working through this relational space, or maybe it's not. Maybe you're going to find 3 or 4 other therapists before you find the therapy that works for you.
It's
That's a question. That's a question I have. Do you think that gay clients need a gay therapist?
No, I actually think that for many gay clients, the healing that takes place from working with a heterosexual can be way more profound than working with a gay therapist. So
interesting.
When I refer people to heterosexual therapists, the fact that they're loved and accepted by their therapist, they get something that they may not have gotten earlier in their lives, and that's beautiful. That being said, the thing about working with gay therapists, if you're gay, is that there's no explanation needed about the community, about sex, about what it's like. So, of course, I have a lot of gay male clients. And I have a lot of people that think that I exclusively work with gay men, which I don't. I would say my practice is 40% gay men, maybe 50 tops. I have a very mixed practice, but these days, as I'm talking more about sex and working with male couples more, certainly the male couples that are dealing with sex are a lot more comfortable coming to my office, although they could go to yours and they'd be fine. They just don't know it.
And who's to say I'm the straight therapist either, so I'm just saying.
Right.
So I want to talk more about masculinity, and I want to ask you about your documentary. When we come back from our break, and I'm going to ask you what I ask all of our guests, which is, what do you think is the biggest trouble with sex today?
Okay.
We'll be right back.
Want to create a more exciting, sexy date night? Whether you've just started dating or are already in a committed relationship, the Date Night Card Deck is designed to bring you and your partner to new heights of passion and romantic intimacy. The Date Night Card Deck includes a variety of sexy and stimulating questions and action cards designed to help you find new ways to communicate and connect. Move your relationship into new realms, and maybe even jumpstart a wild and sexy night. Order your Date Night Card Deck today on Amazon. Just type Date Night Card Deck Tammy Nelson. That's Date Night Card Deck Tammy Nelson. Create your exciting and sexy date night today.
It all comes down to story. If you're working on a project, whether it's a nonfiction memoir, educational material, or a work of fiction, your ability to engage a reader comes down to telling a compelling story. I'm Douglas Moser, and I've helped writers hone their craft from proposal to finished product. I've coached budding memoirists and talented novelists, helping them find the story and refine their work. With a background in journalism, film, theater, fiction, and nonfiction, I can work with you in any capacity. To learn more, check out my website at douglasmoser.com. That's DOUGLASMOSER.com. And if you mention The Trouble with Sex or Dr. Tammy, I'll give you a 20% discount on all our work.
Are you at a crossroads in your relationship? Are you or your partner hesitant to commit the time and money to weekly couples therapy? You can resolve your conflict, work through affairs, increase intimacy, improve communication by working one-on-one with me, Dr. Tammy, in an intensive. It's similar to a couples workshop, but it's in person, private, just for the two of you, for a whole day or even 2 days. Come for an in-depth intervention that could last a lifetime. For more information, go to drtammynelson.com. That's DRTAMMY Nelson.com, and give yourself and your partner the relationship you both deserve.
Have you started to think about that sexy date night? Well, here's just a sampling of some of the cards. Touch your partner in a way that you'd like to be touched. Or how about this one? Describe a sexual fantasy you would never take into action but have thought about. To get your deck, just go to Amazon and type Date Night Card Deck Tammy Nelson. That's Date Night Card Deck Tammy Nelson. Create your exciting and sexy date night today.
The Psychotherapy Networker Symposium is the preeminent conference in Washington, D.C. for therapists. They recently started Innovations in Psychotherapy in Anaheim, California. We've attended both and asked attendees what they thought was the biggest trouble with sex today. Here's what one therapist had to say.
What do you think is the biggest trouble with sex today?
I think it's actually kind of confusing. A younger person just asked me recently about what my take was on dating and how people view it. And her thoughts on it were so different than mine on how to approach it. And knowing some family members who have ventured into the polyamorous field, there is just such a wide open amount of ways that you can connect with people and have sex that I think it's confusing to people unless they're very religiously oriented, then that's kind of dictated. But if you're curious, knowing which direction to go. That would be kind of my thought. It's just kind of confusing.
We'd like to hear from you. What do you think is the biggest trouble with sex today? Go to thetroublewithsex.com and click on Ask Dr. Tammy and submit your response today. We may use it on a future episode. Now, let's get back to our conversation with our guest to hear their answer.
Welcome back, sexy listeners. I'm here with Rick Miller, and we've been talking about opening up and gay male couples and what it means to be masculine. So, Rick, thanks again for being here. I really appreciate it.
I'm loving it.
I could keep you all day.
Yeah.
I won't, but I could. Tell me, what do you think is the biggest trouble with sex today?
I'm a little biased because I'm a therapist, but the trouble with sex today is communication. And I feel as though I spend hours and hours and hours a week giving people permission to speak what they imagine is the unspeakable. So that would be my first answer. And my second answer, which is more specific with gay men, is that the pressure to be a certain way is not doing you any justice. And you get to be who you want to be sexually, except you have to know that about yourself. And, Marty Klein, who, talks about knowing your body and becoming familiar with yourself is something that resonates with me, that I share with a lot of people. So those would be my two responses.
Do you want to say more about getting to know yourself and your body?
Well, sadly, gay men spend their lives being too busy worrying about being accepted, and that translates into fitting in, and that translates into doing things the way that you imagine it's supposed to be. And it used to be magazines, and now it's the internet, and there's so many messages that people are bombarded with about what to look like, what kind of a car to drive, what kind of sex you ought to be having, how open and free you ought to be. And people are kind of messed up as a result because they have no internal awareness of what turns them on or what's right for them. And Joe Court, who termed the word side, did a justice for the gay male community, because I have gotten so many men coming into my office filled with shame because they don't like anal sex and they feel as though something's wrong with them. So it's relieving and exciting as a therapist to be able to give people permission to just explore what they like. I also do mindfulness and hypnosis, which is a way of using your whole body to gauge what feels good, what doesn't feel good, where energy comes from within. And I don't do psychedelics. I would love to learn that. But I was thinking about the relationship in doing hypnosis when you were talking before the break, and I think it's quite similar in that respect. Interesting, gay men that I've done hypnosis with absolutely love it. And frequently they don't want to try it because they're afraid that they won't be able to do it or they won't do it well, because you're going into a deep place inside. And for many gay men growing up, going into your body was a source of shame and awkwardness, sports, whatever. So when I say hypnosis, people want to run for the hills. And then when we do it, it's simply guided imagery, relaxation, creativity. And it's like this magical domain that opens up for people within themselves. And people love it. My gay male clients love it. I love it. So it's pretty profound. And I found that it's a great way of working with people around sexuality to really understand, what do I want? What feels good? What doesn't feel good? When am I honoring myself? When am I betraying myself? Before I have sex with someone, what am I feeling? What am I thinking? During sex, what am I feeling? What am I thinking? After sex. So I do a lot of that, and it's a lot of fun and a lot of excitement. And people are frequently surprised by how little they know about themselves.
I love that you do that. I love that you are helping people to be in their bodies, like that somatic experience.
It's so great.
It's so important. I think we are finally learning to connect it with psychotherapy and include the body instead of just being in our heads.
Exactly. Yes.
Rick, we have a question from a listener.
Oh, good.
It's actually a couple, Ross and Josh from Phoenix. Thank you to those of you who write in and ask questions. Yeah, I respect your bravery. So Ross and Josh from Phoenix, my partner Ross and I have been married for 5 years, and we've always invited other men into our bedroom. Ross is 12 years older than me and is very comfortable having an open relationship, but I increasingly want to be monogamous. How do I start this conversation? Is this an age thing? Is it possible to go from being open to being more traditional? Well, thank you, Josh and Ross, and thanks for writing in. And this is exactly the conversation we're having, and you have chosen the right episode to ask your question. So first of all, thank you. And I'm going to turn that one over to you, Rick, before I make a comment.
Okay, I think obviously both of us should answer, but of course it's okay to go from open to more exclusive or completely exclusive. And if you want a great couples therapy in Phoenix, have I got a referral for you? One of my good friends, she's the one that I do the podcast with, Modern Couples, What Your Therapist Never Told You. She's in Phoenix and she's an incredible therapist. So I'm thinking about the two of you creating space to honor each other's needs, really be attentive to what works for each of you and what feels right, and compromising and also being true to each other, and putting this truth on the table for each of you and conversing about it more, and also exploring what you can do with each other should you be monogamous that you haven't incorporated into your own sex life, to appreciate there's a lot more there, a lot more to explore, a lot more to do, a lot more to enjoy. I think frequently male couples will resort to sex outside as their hobby and their fun, and they close off a part of themselves within their relationships.
I like that. Yeah, it becomes a hobby. This is my hobby, to go out and date.
Like golf, right?
Like golf. I'll be going all day Sunday. I got to play a couple holes.
Right.
Sorry, that was
there you go. That was a good one.
Sorry, we can cut that part out. Yeah, that's a great answer. And one of the things that is in this question is like, how do I start the conversation? I love being able to say, you know what I really appreciate about our relationship is, and to start there. Because if we approach our partner with what's wrong, what's not working, it's easy to shut down and go into that like fight or flight thing. Like, oh, here's some criticism. I'm doing this wrong. I'm making you unhappy. But if we start with, I'm really appreciating that you're happy, that you're gone all day Saturday, that you're really, you're taking care of yourself, you're eating right, you're exercising, you look great, you seem like you're really enthusiastic when you go out on the weekends, and you always come home and you're really affectionate. Like whatever you can pull from the experience that's working for you, like don't lie about it, like really dig for something that you appreciate about it. And then talk about, but you know what I would like more of in our relationship? And I think of it as a resource issue. Like, is it time, attention, affection, or sex? What is it that you feel like you're not getting enough of because your partner wants to be open and be with other people? Is it really that you want more sex with your partner, or you just want, I shouldn't say just, and that you want more affection? Maybe it's bothering you that they're texting and they're on Grindr all the time, or Scruff or whatever, that they don't have that same eye contact that they used to. Maybe you want them to dress up for you. Like maybe there's some attention that you're missing. So I think if we get a little bit more granular, like I really appreciate this, but you know what I'm longing for? A little bit more of this. And then and only then I think we can talk about like, what do we want to try? Because if if your partner feels like they're going to be cut off from maybe this source of erotic energy that is making them feel alive and making them take showers and helping them get regular haircuts. And like, I don't think people necessarily look for another person. I feel like they look to be another person.
Wow, that's really interesting. I love it.
Yeah. So if you're asking them, I don't want you to be this other part of you anymore, what they might hear is, oh, I have to cut off that part of me in order to be with you. And what's going to happen then? Is it just going to go underground? Is it going to be like, okay, I'll be with you, but I have to sacrifice those parts of me that feel so alive, and then I'm going to resent you? Or like, then they need to go to therapy to talk about that. Like, how do you integrate that other part into this relationship? Maybe you can't. Maybe you really can't.
I'm doing it with a couple I work with right now. They've seen me for a bit, and one of the guys in his mid-50s woke up one day after being monogamous for 30 years with his husband, realizing that he couldn't do it anymore. And he loves his husband, and they have a great relationship, but he needed more. And embedded in that, which he has figured out, is that he's a people pleaser and that he's been a workaholic and has never given himself what he wants and deserves in his life. So now he's making up for lost time, and he's having a ball. And it took a while for his husband to be okay with it and not be threatened. And they've worked through it, and they have a great relationship. And he comes home and he talks about what he's experienced. And the husband that initially was threatened wants him to have fun, wants him to get his needs met, wants him to have joy in his life in ways that he hasn't before. Now, it's not perfect all the time, and they're still working with me, so it's more issues to keep working on, but it's a beautiful thing to see.
Yeah, when it's working and people can bring that energy home, then it can make your relationship at home better.
Yeah, yes.
And that's when it's really juicy and alive.
Yeah.
So, Rick, let's talk. Thank you, first of all, Josh and Ross, for writing to us. And let's continue the conversation, because I think this is an ongoing process of what does it mean to be in a committed relationship. And that it does look different for each partner all the time, depending on your age. I did note the age difference as well, and where you are developmentally in your lives, and so much more to talk about. And so much more to talk about as far as that referral in Phoenix. So we'll give you that.
Lillian Borges is her name. But feel free to reach out to me, Rick Miller. You'll find me on the web. You asked about masculinity, and we can quickly talk about it. My observation, and me included, is that growing up gay means that you're not the man that you're supposed to be. And I felt, and we feel, meaning us gay men, as though we're not the right kind of man. We're not living in the world as we are expected to be. Frequently, our families and our communities are insulted, disappointed, make fun of us. And by the time we are out and comfortable in our skin, we've disowned the notion of masculinity. And many gay men feel flawed with the notion of masculinity. And that's painful. And that's, a lot of the work that I love doing and thinking about men. And just a quick personal vignette: in the field of psychotherapy, in teaching, there are a limited number of gay male teachers. It's been, until recently, predominantly older heterosexual men. And I had to deal with my own masculinity and learn to be accepted with older white men who respect me and love me, because I didn't think they would want to. I think that gay men who have grappled with masculinity their whole lives have something to teach other men who aren't gay. And I think heterosexual men who have esteem and pride and confidence have something to teach us. And as it's less of a threat for younger generations, it's so exciting to see the ways that people can bond and become friends with each other and love each other and make out with each other and not have to be so divided anymore. I'm just really fascinated by that.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And so tell me more about your documentary.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd love to see it. And I love the title. And I love your nonprofit work with gay sons and their moms.
So what happened when I wrote my first book was I was looking for literature about gay men and their mothers to include in the book. And there was nothing. How could such a cliche relationship be completely untouched? So I started talking to people, and I was going to write an article about it. And in my interviewing people, it was so profound that I was like, I'm making a movie. Of course, I've never made a movie in my entire life, and I did. And over the last 8-9 years, I've been interviewing mothers and sons together separately of different cultures about their relationship and what works and why it works. And we as in the nonprofit did a small research about why the relationship is so powerful. And it's because mothers who, whether they knew that their son was gay or not, let their kid be who he was without trying to change him was something that was so meaningful to her son that it contributed to his well-being. And frequently mothers were attuned to their kid being different in the world and were feeling protective of them. So because of that, they had this bond that surpassed many other relationships. The gratitude, the protection. And then when you think about it, as cliche as it is, that some aesthetic interest between gay men and their mothers has been so strong that that feeds into the bond. I spent my childhood sitting on the edge of my mother's bed, helping her pick out outfits when it came time to get dressed. I loved it, absolutely loved it. And she trusted me and relied on me. And not that that was our only strength, but that was a fun and important part. It's like my mom loved me. She didn't force me to do anything different. I had a very hip mother. She wasn't overtly talkative about sex, but she bought the first Playgirl magazine ever issued, and she hung up the centerfold in our changing room by the pool. So needless to say, I spent a lot of time running out there as an adolescent.
Oh my God, I love your mom. That's hysterical. I mean,
so
you didn't integrate that as problematic. The fact that you were picking out clothes for your mom, like I've heard gay men talk about the stories of that boundary with their mother, like they wore their mom's shoes, and for some men, integrating that part of their lives around their mother becomes traumatic. But as I'm saying it, I'm thinking because of some other way that was perceived by someone else, not the mother.
And I was so fortunate. I think that's an astute point. No one humiliated me in my family. No one made fun of me. No one said, don't do that. The only trouble that I got in was breaking into my sister's Barbie dolls and accessorizing them. And my grandmother got me a Ken doll thinking that I would like it. It didn't do a thing for me. So again, I owe also my parents' own women's clothing store. So being into garments wasn't frowned upon because it was what we did. So that helped too. But I'm so grateful looking back at my family that my grandfather tried to make me a little more butch and it didn't work. But other than him, my parents never humiliated me or needed me to do anything different. And knock on wood, that's what made me healthy.
So the documentary is really geared towards that relationship. And what's the purpose of it for people that want to view it?
Yeah, the purpose of it is to appreciate what it means to have had struggles and have a mother who can love you. And more importantly, the real purpose of the film is for mothers. Aww. For mothers who struggle with accepting their kid for any reason, to be able to watch this and watch these stories of rejection, redemption, and love. The biggest thrill of my life is going to these film festivals. I was just in Palm Springs in San Francisco last week, and listening to the audiences watching this film, the laughter, the tears, the conversations that we have afterwards are so profound. And it's not just gay men that are responding, it's everyone, and it really touches the hearts of people. And one thing that I can say about any psychotherapist is that we become good storytellers. We become good at sifting out the important elements, and we know how to touch people in the right ways. And that is a skill I've cultivated, and it's worked in this film. And now I can say I'm a filmmaker, which is completely bizarre for me.
Well, I feel like my mission in the world is to reach the most people that need the most help. You're just expanding your platform to reach more people.
That's
and
amazing.
Rick, I think that is amazing. Amazing.
Thank you.
So we'll make sure we put links in the show notes so people can find you and find your work and find the film. And what else do you want people to know before we run out of time? Like, what else do you want to make sure you say to our listeners?
I want to go back to the book about male couples, opening up a communication workbook for male couples. As you know, from the couples conference, it just came out in March. And it was a breeze for me to write, because what I did is I thought about all the conversations that I've had with my couples over the years. And what it is, the book is talking points about, different chapters: sex, money, family of origin, trauma. I forgot what the other chapters are, but each chapter has questions for the person that's reading it to mindfully assess where you're at, talking points with your partner to share with each other. And each chapter has a guided meditation with a QR code led by me to explore these topics. So it's a basic workbook. And I wrote it because so many male couples said to me, I keep buying these books for couples, but they don't work for me. So I'm excited. It's kind of hitting the world right now, and male couples, it's like you take what you want from it. And if you get a few pointers and some help, that's great. So that's my newest exciting thing, along with the movie. I just love, as you said, making a difference in the world. And I feel like I lucked out being in this field, and 42 years into it, I love it. I love what I do. The relationship that I form with people is so profound. It's so stimulating for me, so rich. And I think about people who can't wait to retire. And I'm 64 years old, and I can't even imagine wanting to do anything like it. And I feel gifted because of that.
Oh, that's lovely. Rick, you're doing fantastic work in the world, and we're very lucky to have you.
Thank you.
Yeah, keep it up.
Absolutely. And someday I'm going to meet you in person somewhere, and we're going to have some fun.
We are going to have some fun. We'll go play golf.
No, we're not going to play golf. Absolutely not.
No, but golf is going to be like the code word from now on, I think.
Right.
I'm going to let you pick out my outfits if we go shopping.
There. Absolutely. I'd love to.
Yeah. So for all of my sexy listeners, this has been another fantastic episode of The Trouble with Sex with my amazing guest, Rick Miller. And we are going to put all of their info in our show notes, including a link to find Opening Up, a communication workbook for male couples. Rick, tell people where they can find you.
You can find me on my website, rickmiller.biz, B-I-Z. You can find me on Instagram and Facebook, Rick Miller, LICSW, and that should do it. And also Gay Sons and Mothers as well. All
perfect.
one word.
We're going to put all of that in our show notes so that you can find more about Rick Miller. And if you want one of your questions featured on an episode of The Trouble with Sex, go to thetroublewithsex.com and click on Ask Dr. Tammy. Until next time, I'm Dr. Tammy. Stay sexy, stay safe, stay sane. Have a question about your relationship or sexual wellness? Visit thetroublewithsex.com and click on Ask Dr. Tammy to send us your questions. For sex-positive tips, live events, and updates, join our mailing list and follow us on Instagram at The Trouble with Sex. listen to episodes of The Trouble with Sex on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Please share and rate the show. We so appreciate and thank you for supporting us. The Trouble with Sex is produced by Brandy Savitt. Audio for this episode was designed by Bethany Knoll Productions. This episode was engineered and mixed by Bruce Hirschfield. Music by Bruce Hirschfield.